We found an article on NBA.com which talks about teams that have gotten off to a slow start and which ones that need to turn it around very quickly before they reach a point of no return. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. You know what? The first team that comes to mind for me is the Los Angeles Clippers. I'm sorry. Slow start, almost no start. And I want them to get in their mind that Kawhi Leonard will not be their first option this season. Can they just go ahead and work that out? Like he's going to become, if he does come in, he's going to come off the bench whenever he decides. And because he is still recovering from an injury. I want them to do something a little bit different while they are waiting for Kawhi Leonard to fully recover, which I don't know if he'll do it this season. I just don't see it. He hasn't shown me that he will. I was anticipating him not playing back to backs. I was anticipating Kawhi Leonard, maybe on minutes restrictions from the start. I get that. But he's giving me, y'all won't see me really this season. And so I think the Clippers need to adjust their scheme and not wait for Kawhi Leonard to come, right? And so get in the mindset that if he does come, it is a bonus. It is not the necessity, right? And Paul George, I'm gonna need for you to just go ahead on and step into the number one. Just go ahead and take it, own it, hold on to it strong, and ride it. And I think the Clippers would be better off, especially at the top of the season. And I think they'll do better. I need Reggie Jackson to step up. Now, I read somewhere where Reggie Jackson may have suffered a groin injury. But Reggie Jackson, if you don't feel well, then come off the bench. Like, I just need for Ty Lue. I know he makes adjustments. Start making them now, because this deep roster, this anticipated roster that we were waiting for the Clippers to present to us, I ain't seen that production. I haven't seen it. I'm sorry. And I'm not impressed with the product that they're putting out on the floor in these first few games. So I'm going to need for them to do something. So slow start, quick fix, get John Wall in the starting lineup, put Reggie Jackson on the back burner if he's injured, right? I'm going to need PG to be number one and hold it down, right? And just go ahead and own it. Guess what? Kawhi Leonard, you number 1B at this point. And just if he comes back, great. If he don't, that's fine. But the Clippers have too much depth, according to what everybody else is saying, and according to what I believed at the top of the season, to now be here and they what 2-4, 2-5. I don't know. They bottom of the West. I can't. And it's too much talent apparently on this roster for them to start this way. So yes, Clippers, slow start, fix it quick, because they look really bad right now.
They do. And the Clippers are on my list as well. I still think they are the favorites to win it all. But there's something they're not telling us about Kawhi Leonard's injury. And you're right. He's giving me, you know what, I may not be back this season at all. The fact that he was coming off the bench threw me for a loop. I didn't know if I really liked that. And I remember the game that he came back, he sat until like the 6-minute mark of the second quarter, not the first, the second quarter. So I do believe that he's still injured, and he's trying not to, at least the Clippers camp is trying not to let the news get out. If you look at Kawhi's history, he played 57 games in the 2020 season, 52 games in the 2021, absolutely no games in 2022. And then here we are, he's already missed 3 games or so in a very early NBA season. So it's not looking good for the Clippers as it relates to Kawhi Leonard. I still believe they're one of the deepest teams in the NBA, and I still have them as the favorites as long as we can get, I don't know, maybe half the season with Kawhi Leonard.
See, that's the thing. I think they need to go ahead and just remove that from their mind. Kawhi Leonard, for me, even if he's on the court, he's going to be compromised anyway. He's proving that now, right? So unless Kawhi Leonard comes back after All-Star game and he is fully healthy, by that time, the Clippers would have already dug themselves into a hole. What I'm saying is that switch the game plan, make Paul George in the team agreement that he's going to be the focal point right now, right? Clippers Nation, all Paul George is your it. Kawhi Leonard, get well, and when you're ready, come back. But let's stop this. We waiting on Kawhi. Don't do that. He's injured. He's injured. They don't want to tell us, and he's not recovering as quickly as he should. That's just what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting. I'm not saying that's facts, but that's what I'm getting. And I don't have a problem with him coming off the bench because Steph Curry did it and it was okay, right? But you come off the bench and you still not showing up. Like when? So let's stop waiting on him. Let's just stop waiting on him. And when he comes back, he'll be ready. And just go ahead and focus on Paul George being number one. Reggie Jackson, if he's fully healthy, he can be number 2A, 2B, John Wall. And then all the other supporting roles that allows the Clippers bench to be deep. Then let's focus on that. Change the scheme. Don't wait for Kawhi because it's ruining the momentum that they're actually trying to produce this season, and it needs to be fixed. That's my recommendation.
Okay. Now, speaking of another, team in Los Angeles, we would be remiss if we didn't mention the Los Angeles Lakers off to a horrible start. Probably the worst start that they've had under the LeBron James's era. Worst start in LeBron James's career. I think there's a clear elephant in the room there. I'm not exactly sure what. And to be honest with you, it's a players' league. And if the Lakers don't start winning games, Darvin Ham is going to be the culprit.
Absolutely. Oh,
Uh-huh.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And unfortunately, it won't be right. This almost makes me feel like players allow the organization to build the roster. I almost feel it because if I think about the Lakers and the Nets, and I don't know if we're going to talk about the Nets, but just in this particular instance, you cannot allow your superstars to build your team. Because right now, what I'm seeing, it is not successful. Because what's missing is that you play these top players all this money, and then you're left with role players that you hope can help cover mistakes, but it ain't working.
No, and I think all of us witnessed that early on when they started the season. I mean, if you looked at the Lakers roster at the start, you're like, oh, okay, sure, they got to add somebody. There's no way they're going to put this product out there. And sure enough, they started the season with the product that none of us thought that they would. Good thing for the Lakers, they are starting a 4-game homestand, but it's against Denver, the Pelicans, Utah, and Cleveland, all teams that are playing really well. So there's a potential that they could go down 0-9 to start this season, and they need to turn it around very quickly, or it's just not going to be good in Los Angeles, especially with both LA teams.
Horrible,
You know,
horrible. And the thing about it is that even if they were to win 1 to 2 games in this homestand that they have coming up, they will still be at the bottom because these other teams are fast paced moving forward. I mean, they are even teams that we didn't even anticipate balling out of control.
balling.
So you think that you have time? I just don't know if our highly anticipated teams, in this case, the Lakers and the Clippers, since we're speaking about the LA teams, have time to recover. That's my concern because these other teams, y'all,
It's only 5 or 6 games into the season.
but they got. That's what I'm saying. You need to adjust it quickly. If you continue on this trajectory, you may not have time to recover because other teams are moving forward, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I know it's early. I know it's early, and I do believe that changes will be made to a roster. I don't know how effective they will be, but I know they need to make some changes, even internally or how they see themselves. But that Lakers roster, watching them Lakers games, it is painful to watch. It's painful to watch, and I just don't want to see that product out there. And then considering they have so many nationally televised games, y'all, NBA broadcast, national TV, whatever channels, however you word it, y'all need to revamp that until they get back up at the top. Like it's really it's bad product that they're putting out. I don't like it.
Yeah, speaking of revamping, I think the Miami Heat need to make some changes to their roster as well. They got to get younger. They need a new voice in the locker room and on the bench. Like they need a new floor general leader. They just need something else. And I also think they need to give the keys to Tyler Hero. If we gonna ride Tyler Hero, if we're gonna give him a max deal, give him the keys to the team.
You know what though, and he's earned it because if you've watched the few games that they've played so far this season, he's the one.
Yes.
Even if he's having maybe a slump in shooting, which is not really major slump, but a slump in shooting, he's still the energy that gives them. I just, you know what? I have the Heat on my list as well. Slow start, too old, almost too short. Almost too short. Like when you're going up against teams like Cleveland, when you Milwaukee Bucks, they're almost a little too short. And I don't know long term if it's going to work. The Heat, not only are they a little undersized, but their 3-point shooting is, if it ain't Tyler Hero, who else is it? Maybe Max Strus?
Oh, maybe Duncan can have a showing.
Maybe like it's not enough. These teams are 3-point shooting teams out of the game. Like, and so you don't have enough 3-point consistent. Let me say that there's not enough consistent 3-point shooting on the Heat roster that I think will allow them to overcome and be at the top of the East for this season. I don't see it. And the way they're playing right now, and I know it's early, that's why I hope they can turn it around. They may find themselves outside of the playoffs. And I know it's a hard pill to swallow, but they got to do some adjustments. And not only that, can we figure out who their power forward is? Like who is it? I, it's like they're missing something on their roster. Udonis Haslam, can you come off the bench?
He played 2 minutes in one game. I said, "Oh, put him in, put UD in," and yeah, 1 point. So no, Eric Spoelstra can't count on Udonis Haslam to do much.
Yeah, but see, this is my point. He is a roster spot, even at the lower level salary. That can be someone that they can pull from the free agency list that's currently looking for a job that may be able to give you some type of spark in their position. Maybe, right? And
Yeah.
so, and when you're talking about new voice, I was watching one game or I was watching some, it wasn't the game. Udonis Haslam was mic'd up. I don't know if you saw it, but it was a clip and he was mic'd up and he was talking, pumping up the players. And in my mind, I was like, if you don't be quiet. So, and I'm not even playing. And I'm just watching the clip. And so when you're saying a new voice, I can imagine that the players don't even really hear him. Because even in that small clip, I was saying, Udonis, give me a minute. Like, I need a minute.
Too much, huh? Yeah.
It's too much. But I know teams need that. But maybe it comes better from someone who's actually on the court. So I don't know. So when we're talking about a new voice, maybe that could be something. I just know that there's a roster spot. I want Udonis to be able to stay in the league as long as he can. Add him to the coaching staff. That's all I'm saying. Find another position for him so you can free up that particular roster spot. Find somebody maybe in free agency if y'all don't have the money, and maybe kind of fill in the role of that. I don't know, powerful. I just don't know. Something is missing in that particular position for me. You know what? The Heat may also want to consider a backup center. They may want to kind of pull somebody. I know that Boogie Cousins' name has been mentioned, and he could probably fit into several rosters right now. And I believe the Heat can probably use his backup presence as well. It's just that they seem a bit undersized, and you notice it when they're playing taller teams. Like I just wish Jimmy Butler can be Jimmy Butler every game. But see, by the time he's Jimmy Butler every game, when the postseason comes, he's exhausted, and that's not fair to him, right? So, and they may need to consider. I know this is probably beat the Heat, but it's not. But I don't know if Kyle Lowry is going to be the one to beat them.
Oh no, he's not. No, it's really not Kyle Lowry anymore. I mean, we really have to consider, transitioning to a younger guard. We have to get younger. The Miami Heat, and it might be Eric Spoelstra as well.
Ooh.
It might be time for a change from top to bottom. Seriously.
You heard it here first.